Hello everyone, welcome back to Small Talk. First of all, thank you so much for watching my boring channel. I've had large number of views on my recent videos. I really appreciate you guys sticking to my channel. I know it's as boring as it gets. I'm not really tech savvy, so I just make these videos because I want to give whatever information I have and whatever perspective I have on stock market, economy, Federal Reserve, of course, interest rates, all that good stuff. So let's do a recap of what happened this week and what to expect going into next week. We all know that Tesla have reported its earning on Wednesday after the bell. They did have a miss on their revenue, which is okay. That was kind of expected because their deliveries were shockingly low across the globe. I know towards the end of the quarter they had extra number of deliveries that took place, but that's only because $7,500 tax credit was going away. But of course, that couldn't make up for all the loss that there was previously gone into effect. So market was kind of expecting that, but it still had like a sell the news type of event. There was pullback. And if you've been watching my channel, I've been telling you the 414 level for Tesla, the price level for Tesla has a significant support there. So it always falls back to 414 and it keeps going up. If it falls below 414, then the next stop for Tesla is going to be $390 or 395. Sorry, I don't have the chart in front of me, so I can't look at it. But it's 390 or 395 around that range. But it has been doing pretty well to go to 414. Thursday morning after they reported the earnings, Tesla fell to 414 and then it went straight up. It was extraordinary move for Tesla. It went all the way up to $450. That looked beautiful. I'm not worried about Tesla. You guys know I've been very bullish on Tesla. At this point, I think the stock market, even you guys, all know that Tesla is not a car company at this point. It's more like an AI company, robotics company, and Elon Musk has reiterated in that conference call when he said that it's going to be an AI company and I'm going to be a trillionaire soon, all that good stuff. So it's been a few days since Tesla reported earnings, so I don't think I need to go into much details, but I think overall Tesla, whatever happened, it was expected. And going forward, there's lots of good stuff taking place. As I mentioned in the last videos, that 6 to 9 month time frame that Dan Ives have given, he thinks it has already started. So whatever time we have left, I think Tesla is going to hit 600 and beyond. My goal for the end of the year is at least $500. It could go higher, but 500 minimum is my goal for Tesla. I know it was 450, but we accomplished that way sooner than I had expected it to be. All right, next we're going to talk about the CPI report, which was released this morning. It was due last week, but because of the government shutdown, the report was delayed, which was released today. It came 0.1% cooler than it was expected, but it's still higher. It's 3% core CPI and 3% month over month, so or year over year. Sorry, it's still higher than what Federal Reserve's goal is. They want to bring the inflation down to 2%, which they have not been able to accomplish in the past 4 years. In fact, in one of the recent recent conference calls when Jerome Powell was asked this question that you've been saying 16 to 18 months for past 4 years and you have not been able to accomplish the 2% goal that you have set for yourself. Does that question your credibility? It was kind of funny, which it kind of makes sense. He's been saying 16 to 18 months for past 4 years. In fact, one of the Fed future Fed chair, Moran, some people call him Moran, but Moran, he also, when he was asked this question in one of the interviews, that when do you think we can accomplish the 2% Fed inflation rate, he said it's going to take about 12 to 18 months. So still, even at this point, they're expecting 12 to 18 months. However, I just want to make something very clear. This 3% inflation report that we received, we obviously got this from the government, and government doesn't always tell us the truth. My opinion is that it's probably double what they're reporting to us. I might be wrong. It may be just a speculation, but Trump? Trump being Trump, he wouldn't mind hiding some data and, hiding stuff so Jerome Powell will cut the rates. A friend of mine who trades with me on a daily basis, she asked me one day, she was like, Why? We know we haven't seen the job report lately because of whatever's going on in the government. So I said, I think Donald Trump is doing it on purpose. He doesn't want to issue the job report because job report is going to be so bad. I know there has been quite a few layoffs, and Amazon said that robots are going to take over, and Elon Musk also said the robots are going to take over the jobs. And so yeah, that's a future fear that everybody has, that lots of people will lose their jobs. But I think so far we have not seen any job data which shows that it's going to collapse suddenly. But that's something that we haven't seen yet. That doesn't mean it's not happening behind the scene. I think Donald Trump is hiding that on purpose. And when I told my friend that, she was like, "Well, don't you think if the job report is bad, and if Donald Trump makes it public and shows it to Jerome Powell, he will cut the rate significantly?" I said, "No, because that will panic him. That will panic the market, because market will collapse thinking that we're going into recession. And Jerome Powell will panic because he will think that we're going into recession because job report is low, and of course inflation is going down gradually." If you read the CPI report closely, you'll see the reason why inflation is like going straight or flat right now is because the rental inflation has ticked up just by 0.1% this month, which means it's kind of flattening now. That doesn't mean the rents have gone down. They're still extraordinarily high, and they're just crazy high. But it just means that it's not going even further higher. Rather, it's flattening at this point, and that's what's bringing the inflation down. If you watch my last video in the last CPI report, I told you the main reason why inflation data was higher last month is because of the housing market. The houses were expensive, the shelter was expensive, and now we can see that it's kind of flattening straight. And it's probably going to go on for a few months now. That gives Jerome Powell enough liberty to go ahead and announce a 25 basis point rate cut. And it still doesn't give him the fear that maybe we're going into recession. And he's hoping that we can do soft landing. If we have soft landing, I think we are out of the fear of recession, which I know some of the analysts on the stock market were of, the fear that we may hit recession. You know me, I already told you that we have been done with the recession part. People just have not realized. If you do the survey, you also notice that people across the nation have said that the things are getting more costly, particularly, and when they were asked specific questions, what areas do you think are more expensive? A majority of them said that it's mainly the groceries, and I can vouch to that. Every month, I think grocery prices keep going up. And my grocery bill is much higher than it was last month because, every household have their own specific type of groceries that they buy depending on what their family's needs are. And my groceries don't change much. They pretty much stay the same, maybe a few items up and down, but that's about it. And the prices are significantly different from month to month basis. So yes, does that mean inflation is going down? No, it's still ridiculously high, but it's flattening out now. So it gives Jerome Powell enough reason to cut 25 basis points, but it doesn't freak out the market, doesn't freak out Jerome Powell or the government or economy thinking that we're going into recession. Now, somebody would ask, you might have this question that, okay, if inflation is going down, then why isn't the yield going down at the same time, or the reason why the yields are not dropping that fast is because, yes, inflation ticked down a little bit, but it didn't go down with a significant amount where yield will go down as well, because the people just are not going to take their money out of the bonds or the treasury bonds and just put this in the market until they have certainty that they're going to make more money in the stock market versus in bonds. So that's probably why the yields are not coming down as fast. Donald Trump obviously wants his 25, 25, 25, 3 rate cuts that Jerome Powell has promised last month. We already did one. Next one, of course, is going to be next week, October 29th. And there's 96% probability that they're going to do 25 basis point rate cut. It hasn't changed since the CPI report released this morning. And of course, now we don't know how the rate is going to be in December. Of course, Jerome Powell is going to say that data dependent, but I have a feeling that he is going to cut 25 basis points. I talked about quantitative easing and quantitative tightening. You all know the Federal Reserve is in the phase of quantitative tightening right now, and I think they're about to start quantitative easing, which means they're going to start printing money. I was of the opinion that in early first quarter of 2026, Jerome Powell is going to turn the money printer on and they're going to start printing money. But some of the analysts, and especially some of the members of the Federal Reserve, are saying that we may start the quantitative easing cycle probably earlier than 2026, maybe in the last month of this year. But we'll see how it goes. Once the money printer turns on, that means inflation is going to go higher again. And I have talked about this cycle multiple times, that when you print money, people have high buying power, there's easy cash available or cheaper cash available, people can borrow money at a very cheap interest rates, they buy homes, they buy other assets. As a result, prices go higher, which causes inflation. Then Federal Reserve will start quantitative tightening again, which means they'll start increasing the rates. And this vicious cycle goes on and on and on until it collapses, which it is going to collapse. US economy is a ticking time bomb. I have said that multiple times. And when the US economy collapses, of course, the entire world is going to suffer. So we just have to wait and see when that bomb goes off. How long these moneymakers and these politicians are going to fill their pockets at the expense of common men like you and I, we don't know this until as long as they can, because they don't care about you and me. All they care about is themselves and their Swiss accounts. I don't know if the Swiss accounts even exist at this point, but I'm going to say this because it sounds cool. Anyways, so I think Federal Reserve is going to start printing more money. They're going to start a quantitative easing. Once they start printing money, the bond yields will come down. Once the bond yields come down, the stock market is going to overflow with cash. People are going to buy equities. It's going to have an immense bull trap or bullish sorry, I just lost my words. It's going to have this bull run in the short run, because when people put too much money in, especially the small cap stocks and mid cap stocks are going to flourish during that time period. So in the short term, you can be happy and excited that you will make lots of money in the stock market, depending if you invest it wisely. And then, of course, long run, this Federal Reserve system is just bogus to begin with. They shouldn't exist, period. So maybe our children will have to suffer through this crash that the Federal Reserve is going to cause at some point. That's probably going to happen, whether it takes 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I don't know, but it's going to happen. It has to happen. And this fiat currency has to just destroy the economy at one point or other. History tells you all, whenever there's a fiat currency, it has never, ever, ever worked in the benefit of human beings, common men like you and I. It has always worked for those who are at the top 2 or 3%, and then it does collapse the economy, and that's what's going to happen. Anyways, so what's my goal for next week? Next week on October 29th, it's going to be FOMC meeting, in which Jerome Powell is going to most likely announce 25 basis point rate cuts, and then that's going to make market very happy and excited. Market was very excited today. It's like squeezing on top of the height that it has achieved in the past so many months. It's going to keep going higher than everybody is going to anticipate for December rate cuts. And I think Donald Trump is going to provide limited data to Jerome Powell, to the stock market analysts to look at, because he wants Jerome Powell to keep cutting rates, as he has been telling him, Mr. Too Slow. And once he accomplishes his rate cut, because he wants the stock market to go higher, because he thinks he can accomplish higher stock market, he could make people rich, because he likes to be praised. You know, we know he's a child, he's a 5 years old little boy that we're dealing with. So it doesn't matter how it looks in the long run, because he's gone in 2 years anyway. And once he's gone, he doesn't care after that. Then he can blame it at the next government that takes over, next president that takes charge of the office. As long as it's his term, he wants to leave with his head high and praising himself and patting himself on the back that, look, when I was in charge, when I was the president, I made economy flourish, the stock market was high, everybody was happy, I'm a peace promoter, I should have won Nobel Peace Prize. I made a video on that as well, actually. for Pakistani Prime Minister. I will upload that as well today on the weekends, so you guys can watch it, but you don't have to watch it if you don't want to, because that has nothing to do with the stock market. That's just my personal opinion. Since I'm Pakistani, I'm very biased. And when my Prime Minister of my country, my home country, praises someone like Donald Trump and nominates him for Nobel Peace Prize, it is a turnoff for someone like me who understand what it means. Anyways, so going into next week, I'm bullish on the market. Tesla is going to do well towards the end of the year and next year. Of course, it's going to go to, as Dan I've said, 500, 550, 600 and beyond. Nobody is looking at Tesla as an EV company anymore. The robotaxi, their FSDs, everybody is waiting for them to be launched and up and running without a safety driver in it. Once that happens, the stock is going to go parabolic. My God, AMD. My goal for AMD was $200 towards the end of the year. It has way exceeded my goal. So now I don't know what price target to put on it. I just have to do a little bit of research and see what's cooking in their pipeline. And then maybe I can give you a price prediction on AMD. Palantir, NVIDIA, you know NVIDIA, I already gave you my price prediction. I'm looking at $240 towards the end of the year. Let's see how close I am. But I think we still have a couple months, and I think it's going to keep going higher. And NVIDIA CEO, I like him. He's a very smart man. He knows what he's doing. Not only that he's making his company better, but also he's looking out for his stockholders as well, and he wants the stock to do well. That's why I think it's going to go to $204. Of course, there's never a guarantee. A significant bad news could pop up from China again tomorrow, just like DeepSeek AI, and there you go, it could collapse. But that doesn't mean the company doesn't have the potential. The company is going to do great. I know Elon Musk, when I was listening to his conference call, he did say NVIDIA has done a great job. Their chips are wonderful. And I looked at NVIDIA stock immediately and I said, let me see if NVIDIA is going up, because if Elon Musk is talking and praising NVIDIA in his conference call, the stock better be going up, but it wasn't. Of course, investors have become a lot smarter now, because they don't take Elon Musk as serious anymore either, I guess. He's been saying Tesla is the best company in the world, and he has said that sentence so many times that stock used to jump higher at this sentence. Now nobody cares. They're like, oh, he's going to say this sentence regardless, so let's just brush that off. Let's listen to what else he has to say. So similarly with NVIDIA, but it did go higher, I have to say. It was in 170 range, somewhere like that, and then it has ran up so far, so much since then. But 240 is my price target for NVIDIA. Palantir, I would like to see at least 200 towards the end of the year, which I think is going to accomplish way before than that. But 200 is the minimum, my goal for Palantir towards the end of the year. Uber has touched $100 mark and has been going down since. And of course, the reason being is they made lots of announcements in the past quarter. They have been doing great upgrades to their company, but they need to come up with a new big news, like a big pop that would make the stock go parabolic. And I'm waiting for that. Excuse me, I just had my tea. So I'm waiting for that news to come up so Uber stock can go much higher. Now, I want to also talk about the quantum stocks. They've been doing extremely well. I've been very bullish on quantum. I had QBTS and QUBT, but I just paper handed it and I just took small profits and I sold them. I should have kept those for the long run, but I can build a position around them. And if you have the money, not a person that's financial advice, I would say just wait for a pullback on these quantum stocks, and then you can buy those, so at least start a position and hold them for next at least 12 months, if not longer. That will give you some amazing return, I think, in next 12 to 18 months or 12 to 24 months. Those are very good stocks to buy at this point. AI stocks, of course, because AI is still at very initial stages of its life. We have a long way to go. As Dan Ives said, it's only 10 p.m. The party's going to go up and go on until 4 o'clock in the morning. So we have a long night before we can see the end of AI. I think if you invest in AI right now, and AI, I mean, is Tesla, NVIDIA, Palantir, BBAI. There are lots of other stocks that you can invest into. AMD, you will make a significant amount of money, and that will make you maybe retire in the next 3 to 5 years. That would be awesome, right? Anyways, that's my perspective. I hope you like my video. Give my video a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you for putting up with me. I know I'm boring. I don't make very good videos, but I still like to share my perspective, share my views. and share my thoughts how I understand the economy and the stock market. Until next one, take care, be safe out there, and have a nice weekend.